Hey, this is Tim Cummins, and welcome back to another Story Tim, where I tell my favorite stories from my 50 years here on the planet. Well, this story is about my trip to the Taj Mahal when I was in New Delhi. Back in '82, I visited, drove around on buses and trains around India, and also went to Agra, which is where the Taj Mahal was. So this is a story about that. And we left New Delhi in the morning to go out there. It's a pretty good trip. I'd say it's about, oh man, it seemed like it was at least 4 hours by bus to go from New Delhi to Agra, where Shah Jahan had built the Taj Mahal for his dead wife Mumtaz, as a kind of a tomb thing like that. Anyway, we got on the bus. We went on down there, and we made a couple of stops before we got there. One of them was supposed to be to Shiva's birthplace. So Shiva, of course, being the preserver, and his wife Kali, the destroyer. So it's kind of a yin-yang kind of a preservation and stuff of deities there in Hinduism. So you would go, we went into this building, and you went downstairs into this kind of crypt-like thing, where there was probably at least 150 people like that. And you go in there, and then the priest would start Om Shanti, and then they start doing these. Everybody would have a little, some kind of a musical instrument. They were all like percussion stuff. So some of them might be like a kind of a cowbell, dong dong, and others would have like these tiny cymbals. Some would be bigger cymbals, so it would go da 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 da, and everybody's kind of beating these things or clapping like that, or om 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 om. So and it would go on for, it seemed like about 20 minutes, and it was kind of like almost a hypnotic state you would enter. Of course, everybody was a lot of incense and going on there like that, and then at the end, they would just kind of be closing their eyes and kind of go like this, and bang bang boom 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 boom. It kind of just, the priest, whatever, would just kind of stop, and then everybody would stop, and then I guess that was their prayer time. Then we would all leave. So that was kind of different. And then we went to the next place, which was called Abner's Fort. And he was one of the big generals in India at the time. It was unusual for me, and it was easy for me to remember because when I was at Baylor back in from 76 through 80, our president was Abner McCall. I thought it was so ironic that here this major general here in India stuff was General Abner. But he had built this big fort and stuff like this. And the thing that I really remember about that was that you had these golden langurs, which was like a monkey that was, when they would stand up, and they would walk on 2 feet like people, bipedal, and that they would be maybe 4 foot tall. So they looked this golden color, golden orange fur like this. And of course, you know how primates are, monkeys and chimps, apes, they look at you like they're really thinking about what you're doing. And they would look at you, and they would sit there. But the thing that really got me is how they would sit. Because they would sit down on their bottoms, and their legs would hang down, like they would sit on a bench like beside us, and they would cross their legs. So it would be like, like what you would see with one knee over the other. So they would cross their legs, and they would have just their hands folded in their thing, and they'd be looking around you like they were another one of the tourists. Man, it was the dangest thing. I'll never forget those golden langurs sitting like that. It was bizarre. Well, anyway, we got back on the bus up there. We went on over to the Taj Mahal, which is, again, it's just an incredible place. The thing that really strikes you as you're going around and looking at this is the amount of care, the carving, everything being handmade, hand sculptured, these fantastic, it wasn't ever pictures or anything, because in Muslim tradition they weren't really supposed to do that. So it was, it was like the way they would do like mosaics and stuff, but just different patterns, geometric patterns, and a lot of it's supposed to be that if you focused on that to try to see how the intricate things would interfold and stuff like this, that again would lead you into a meditative state. But the thing that I remembered the most about anything about the Taj Mahal was, how you have the main Taj Mahal, and then you had these pillars. The thing about them is that the pillars were not vertical. Those big like minarets were actually leaning outward, and as you went up there you could actually see how they were leaning outward like that, because what they said was, in case that if they fell, they didn't want him to fall against the Taj Mahal. So, they were leaning out. I remember that thinking that was the most bizarre deal. One more piece of trivia for you for them. The Taj Mahal is basically a white marble structure. But did you know that Shah Jahan, who built that for Mumtaz, actually had a second Taj Mahal in mind, because the Taj Mahal is right by the river, and he had actually was going to place a second Taj Mahal on the other side of the river, and that one was going to be black. So there was going to be like this match set of a black and a white of these Taj Mahal things. But by that time, he had become weak, and they had another emperor that had come in there and taken him over, so that they didn't finish that. Plus, they about bankrupt the country doing that project. But it was an astonishing place to see, and I'm glad I got to see it. And you should see it too if you get a chance. And that was another Story Tim.